I'm Kevin Gehl, voice of the Crusaders, and this is Sader Stories, the official podcast of Holy Cross Athletics, presented by UMass Memorial Health. Today, we continue our Crusader coaching profiles with the head coach of men's lacrosse here at Holy Cross, J.L Reppert. Coach Reppert is now in his 5th season leading the Crusaders. As of this podcast recording, his team already matched their best season win total through the previous 4 years, and it only took 2 weeks to do it. Coach, congrats on a great start to the new season, and welcome to Sader Stories.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks so much for having me.
Can't believe it's lacrosse season already. Your team was battling through the winter months out there, running around in shorts, making the most of their opportunities. Now you've got a lot of experience back. 7 players who started at least 5 games last year. How are you seeing that experience pay off here in the early season?
Yeah, I think, it's interesting. Been paying off in September and maybe even August when the guys got on campus. And I think each year it seemed like players have taken more and more of a leadership role and driving the team and this program in the direction we want it to go. And I think you're hearing more and more about the similar language that we've been trying to impart on guys. They're able to say things and correct themselves or their teammates before we even have to say anything. So I think that's where it's really partly showed up on the field. I think it's all the off-field intangibles too. The 8 seniors we have been through a lot. It's been a rocky road and kind of a roller coaster, so to speak. And I think they're very dedicated to getting this program where people can be proud of it and showing that on the field, and have done the work, whether it's in the weight room, in kind of those unseen hours, hitting the wall, doing extra shooting, doing extra footwork. They've really dedicated to it. And, I think we're able to talk at an elevated level about maybe X's and O's and what we need to do on the field, because a lot of that foundation in terms of the process and what we needed to just do to begin with here has been set by those guys.
It's great to hear the growth amongst your players, the full buy-in, the way they're building a foundation for the future. That's how they've grown. How have you grown most now in year 5 as a head coach?
Oh man, I think every year you learn some different things and pick up on different ways to improve. And I think a lot of it has been just growing to understand Holy Cross and the culture here and the type of student athletes we have and what the wonderful education they're getting in a well-rounded way. I think it's a lot about understanding how to manage the guys, not only during the game in 2 hours, but it could even be during practice. And also during the year. I think there's certain times of the year here where academics is hard and midterms come up, and just understanding how to balance some of those things so that we use them, if not to our advantage, at least they're not a huge distraction and an obstacle. We just work around. And I think we talk about guys coming back. The other side of this is our staff's 3rd year together. Coach Dupree and Coach Euchre have been here for 3 years now, and so that's really helpful because not only do we know each other, but the guys know us, and it's a common language.
You've got a coaching staff in its 3rd year. You also have a goalie back for a 3rd season in net, J.R. Long. Where has he taken the biggest steps, and what kind of outlook does he have for this upperclassman season?
Yeah, I think, JR's been kind of behind and nipping at the heels in the last 2 years of Dawson Friars, who was terrific for us in his career. And, JR earned himself some opportunities last year to get on the field, and has really used that experience to continue to grow and develop. I think for him, it's a dedication to studying and working on his craft. He's really focused on that and focused on the process. And, in that goalie position, it can be pretty lonely inside that circle, inside the crease. And what he really focuses on, and we've worked really hard with him to focus on, is, listen, it's not about making every save. It's about, are you putting yourself in the best position possible? And we certainly focus on it with him. And he kind of starts on the back end to lead our team in that way from the goal. And I think the other side of it is he's just open to improvement. He just wants to be the best he can be, and he's striving towards excellence, and the willingness to adjust some things here or there without completely changing his style has been great and really helped him. so far this season.
Owen Larson returns in your midfield. He will serve as a team captain this season. What kind of leadership does he bring to this Crusader program?
Yeah, I think, you asked me a question about how we've grown. I think, for me, kind of done the captain thing and the leadership thing here in a couple different ways, and decided after talking to the staff and some of the players that are here now and have left, we decided to go with one captain, which was my experience when I was playing in college at the Naval Academy, and it just felt like it was better to have one voice for the whole team and then have a supporting cast underneath him with the other seniors. He has been terrific, and when I think about want to be and who a captain should embody, Owen is that guy. He's a servant leader. He sets the example. He helps guys with empathy and compassion, maybe to a fault at sometimes. But then he is super competitive. We talk about kind of being gentlemen warriors here, where off the field we can be gentlemen and help people out and be kind and nice, and then when we go between the lines, it's a battle. And we've got to be warriors and no holds barred, and Owen epitomizes that for us. And again, I think because of all of those things, he's a guy that is easy to follow.
Mm-hmm.
And he backs up what he says with his actions and with his caring.
It's clear Owen's setting a great standard for the underclassmen, and that includes sophomore John Luke Dooley, who is red hot out of the gate. How about 10 goals in his first 4 games? How's he setting a tone for your team offensively?
Yeah, I think again another guy who he set a tone in the beginning of the year. Just the way he came in, he's one of 3 transfers that we were able to get coming in this year that have made an impact already. And he's it's his approach, and we talk about an approach to excellence here, and that's one of our focuses. And his approach is more of a show me than tell me guy. Got that quiet demeanor and doesn't really need to say a lot in terms of being in front of the whole group, but he just puts it on the field. And he also understands, like in a subtle way, in his own way, even at practice yesterday, he's, pumping up guys and congratulating them and supporting them. So he has his own nature and way to go about it. And then he understands how to fit that in with what we're trying to do as a team and offensively. And ultimately it's just his aggression, and I remember thinking back to the fall, one of the first practices he was in, we had a young man that was just coming back off an injury first practice, and he just ran him right over. And it was like, again, that gentleman warrior over, he made the play. Afterwards, he kind of thought about it. He's like, ooh, that guy just started. Like, hey, man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to run you over. And it was like that moment of, wow, this is what we want here. It's okay. You don't have to apologize for being aggressive. So
Your players will certainly need to be warriors in the Patriot League this season. It is deep again in men's lacrosse. 2 teams, Army and Navy, already ranked in the top 20, another 3 teams receiving votes. What will be key for your team to stand out and be most competitive in a league with all kinds of teams climbing the ladder?
yeah, I think, one of the things that we really emphasize is, comparison's the thief of joy, and we can't worry about the outside environment and things that we can't control. A little bit of coach speak there, but I think it's coach speak for a reason. We have to focus on us. To be us, we need to know who we are. We certainly need to know who we're playing against and how we need to play, but we really need to just buy into being us and holding true to our identity. We can't worry about what the ranking is of a team coming in. We can't worry about what the results are. I think sometimes you all in the media and social media like to get caught up in he beat this, that guy beat this guy by 4 goals, whatever it is. Like, we just need to hold to our process and know that when we know who we are and we play to our top ability, we can beat anyone in the country. But also on the flip side, when we don't do that, like Division I lacrosse is super competitive and anybody can beat us on any given day. But to me, it's exciting. It's the challenge of playing in the Patriot League, playing lacrosse, and getting those opportunities to play against some great teams.
We're excited to see how that focus pays off this spring. Let's take a short break. When we get back, we'll talk with Coach Reppert about his unique path from the Marine Corps to a career coaching lacrosse right here on Sader Stories.
We are UMass Memorial Health, and innovation is something that defines us. that drives us to discover new ways to provide answers and hope, to provide opportunity and access and equity for everyone, to redefine what medicine can do and how it can heal relentlessly.
Yeah.
Glad we got Jersey Mike's for the game.
Wait, does our mascot look like Danny DeVito to you?
Yeah, it does. That doesn't matter. This is a commercial for Jersey Mike's, where the subs matter most. Freshly sliced right in front of you. That's what they're all about.
You on the cheer squad?
And up see Daisy. Yeah!
Ooh.
Oh, don't worry about me. Focus on those subs. Where the subs matter most. It's a Jersey Mike's thing. A sub above.
Don't miss the 6-time defending Patriot League football champs back in action this fall here at Holy Cross. Crusader fans can place a deposit today on 2025 season ticket memberships. Guarantee the best seating and parking options at the best price by visiting goholycross.com/tickets. You can also call 1-844-GO-CROSS. We welcome you back to Satyr Stories presented by UMass Memorial Health. I'm Kevin Gehl, joined by Holy Cross men's lacrosse head coach J.L. Reppert. Coach, you grew up in a lacrosse family and played at the Naval Academy, now a league rival. How special was that experience for you as a midshipman and a lacrosse player in Annapolis?
Yeah, I think to start with, the most special part was being able to be at a Division I level and play at a high level and get to play teams like Maryland and Hopkins and teams that were nationally ranked, and getting to play in the Army-Navy game, which I'm not sure if I have an argument that's the best rivalry in sports. And I think the other side of it is, as you mentioned, I grew up in a lacrosse family. My dad was a lacrosse official for 30 years. Way back in the time when there was no PLL, there was no pro leagues, but the post collegiate club was like the best lacrosse out there, and I got to be on the sideline for it. I got to be on the sideline for a lot of big lacrosse games. So kind of growing up and seeing it, and then being able to be a part of it was awesome. And getting the opportunity to go to the Naval Academy, certainly I think now that I'm graduated, it was more special. I'm not sure if I appreciated how special it was while I was there, going through it, but just an amazing place. And I learned so much and had so many great relationships, and getting an opportunity, like I said, to compete for Navy, a team that I'd grown up watching close, being from Maryland, was an awesome experience.
Because your dad was a longtime respected official, do you find that you take it a little bit easier on the officials that are working your games?
I bet they would say I take it probably a little bit harder on them. I try to appreciate like where they're coming from, and understand. And as my dad used to say, like, you're going to be wrong 50% of the time, no matter what you call. So I try to understand that and have some empathy and compassion for those guys for sure.
I'm sure you learned empathy and compassion during your time as a starter on attack for Navy. You were also a team captain, so you took a leadership role early in your career and helped lead your team to the NCAA tournament in 1999. How do you feel that time, those teams, that group of mids, helped show you what you could be as a future coach?
Yeah, I think, I got my plebe year, my freshman year at the academy was Coach Mead's second year. I was part of the first recruiting class he brought in there. So I kind of feel like from a standpoint of using that experience to help me here, I went through a little bit of a rebuild and have done that at other stops, excuse me, along my way. I think that the biggest thing would be setting the example. And I'll never forget being on the practice field one day and yelling at the plebes to get the goals and get the balls out. And Coach Mead came by and just put his arm around me and said, "Hey, don't you think it would be so much better for them to help if you did it with them?"
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of a lightning bulb moment. I had always wanted to be out in the front. And, when you're doing a run, you're trying to be in the front and doing those things. But the part of it of pulling guys along and being a leader had really kind of hit home for me. And then I think just education you're going to get from a leadership standpoint at the Naval Academy and the people you're around from that standpoint, as well as in the Marine Corps, has served me well. And feel like played with every guy that I've coached or am coaching. And so using those experiences while I was a coach to try to relate to the guys now is something else I try to really focus on.
I'm glad you mentioned leadership because looking at your resume, coach, it's one of the most impressive I've ever seen among D1 coaches. Leadership at every step of the way. You graduate from the Naval Academy, you graduate with a master's from the Naval Postgraduate School, and then you served your country for 9 years in the Marine Corps, achieving the rank of captain. Did you consider a lifelong career in the Marine Corps, or was lacrosse always percolating in the back of your mind?
Um, Short answer is yes to both of those. I think it was a point, got to that 9 year mark of having an opportunity to make a decision and I had an opportunity to get out and explore the college coaching part of things, and was still single at the time, was still relatively young, and figured if I made it a career in the Marine Corps, just be a little bit harder to kind of start at the bottom level from an assistant standpoint. So I think that was the decision factor there. I had always had the itch, and again, the itch came from growing up around the game and being around my dad and getting to meet so many amazing coaches that are part of this sport, and just being around athletics. And so I was able, at every stop of the way in the Marine Corps, I was able to coach in high school and just kind of kept my feet wet, so to speak, or just kept connections in the game, with the idea that maybe at one point I would get out and try the coaching thing. So yeah, I would say didn't necessarily look at a career in the Marine Corps, but was more looking towards how do I get into coaching, whether it be high school and teaching and education, or get into the college ranks.
I love this lesson because career paths are so rarely in a straight line. You can make changes along the way and kind of rewrite your future. So you've got this incredible Marine Corps resume, but now you're going out looking for these coaching opportunities. How did you break in?
Yeah, so and again, I guess I kind of try to hedge my bets here as I go through my career and think about it. So as you mentioned, I got my MBA, so it was a matter of, you could stay in the Marine Corps. I could potentially use my MBA if I wanted to get out. And then, like I mentioned, I coached in high school here and there, both on the West Coast and the East Coast. And on the East Coast working in the Pentagon. I helped Navy, and I was an advanced scout back in the day when you would actually travel to a game and watch games, and did some things in that regard, try to work some camps throughout the summer in my off time. And then Coach Tillman, who is now at Maryland, and was my coach at the Naval Academy, an opening for an assistant job. And, I guess the timing was right, and the opportunity came, and I jumped on it. And, I appreciate him for giving me that opportunity to get up to Harvard.
And you end up landing as an assistant coach at your alma mater in 2022, back at the Naval Academy, where it all started for you on attack. How differently do you look at the Naval Academy now, having served as a coach in Annapolis?
Yeah, I mean, it's a special place, no doubt. It's a place that's near and dear to my heart, and gave me so many things. And, you were mentioning my playing experience, and what I forgot to mention is the wonderful coaches that I got to play for there. Coach Tillman, who I just mentioned, Coach Mead, who is still a major part of my life and influence on me, and Matt Hogan, who was a defensive coordinator there. Like, I think not only did they teach me how to be a player and a good leader, but I think also understand what it took coaching wise and what the profession was like. Getting an opportunity to go back as an assistant was the idea, like, to kind of pay it backward. And I had so many lessons and experiences and things that I was appreciative of, and to be able to give back in that way to the midshipmen that I coached and mentored was great. I got the job there during a transition in staff, so helping the other staff members who didn't really know much about the academy to try to help them understand what it's about, because it is a special and unique place, was really good. And I'm not sure if my players appreciated that I was there. There were some back in the day stories, and I'll never forget my first day on the job. We were in the summer, and a group of freshmen were complaining that their dorm air conditioning wasn't working. And I found myself having to hold back because we didn't even have air conditioning back then. So it was one of those like, oh yeah, you got to remember you're on their side now, not necessarily on the other side. So, but I think just be there, and be a part of, in my opinion, the greatest leadership institution in the world, was awesome.
How do you feel like you can take those lessons of leadership from the Naval Academy and replicate them here at Holy Cross?
Yeah, I tell our guys this all the time. I just think there are certain characteristics that all organizations have, and it could be in business, it could be on the athletic fields, and then there's certain traits that I think just excellent people and successful people have, that I've picked up along the way, and I think that's what we try to impart here. And I mentioned being an educator. My mom was a teacher, so I have a little bit of that in me. I look at lacrosse as a class and the field as a classroom for us to help teach life. And so those lessons of the consistency, the discipline, again, focusing on the process and kind of playing the percentages, so to speak, is the things that I use here a lot. And then again, it goes back to the leadership, and setting the example. And having, one of the things that really talk about it in the Naval Academy is having the moral authority to lead. And I focus on that a lot with our guys. It's funny, maybe not funny, but ironic that, as seniors develop, it's like, well, I get more things that should be given to me. And to me, it's actually the opposite. You're actually given more responsibility, but you don't get many more privileges. And getting guys to understand that and develop in that way, and understand how, if you, instead of yelling at a freshman, if you put your arm around him and show him the way, it's so much more impactful.
That's a great lesson about what real leadership looks like. Let's take one last break. When we return, we'll learn more about how a national lacrosse title helped propel Coach Reppert here to Holy Cross. That's next on Sader Stories.
Leadership and excellence in competition, in the classroom, in the community. For decades, Crusader Athletics has focused on our topmost commitment, elevating every student athlete to reach for more, to grow more, to achieve more. Help us to continue to strengthen minds, build character, and celebrate together as one Crusader nation. Because when we commit together, we win together. Join us, Crusaders together.
Many financial advisors are commission-based advisors that work for a bank. At Car Financial, we work for you. Our primary focus is helping our clients achieve their goals. You worked hard in your career. You've earned your retirement. Now let us show you how to make the most out of what you have. We're here to answer your investment, retirement, income tax, and estate planning questions. Through every stage of life, we're here for you. Call us at Car Financial Group today.
Grow your brand and get involved in the Worcester community. Here's the opportunity. Holy Cross Athletics is looking for corporate sponsors for the 2025-26 season, including everything from signage to game sponsorships and digital media. For more info on how you can become a corporate sponsor of Holy Cross Athletics, please reach out to John Rourke at john@crusadersportsproperties.com. Welcome back to Sader Stories, presented by UMass Memorial Health. I'm Kevin Gehl, voice of the Crusaders, joined again by Holy Cross men's lacrosse head coach, J.L. Reppert. Coach, after your stints at the Naval Academy as a player and assistant coach, you made the big jump to offensive coordinator in the Big Ten at Maryland, where you reached the mountaintop, won a national title in 2017. What lessons did you pull from coaching a national championship caliber program?
Yeah, I think, and I give all the appreciation and credit to Coach Tillman for having the trust and confidence in me to bring me to Maryland, and to show me the way in a lot of cases, and how to do it. There's a consistency that happens down in College Park because of the hard work and consistency. I'll use it again in their preparation and their process. And Coach Tillman is the guy that is at the head of that. So appreciate him for all that he's done. It doesn't hurt that you have good players. So I think there's some of that too. Got to give credit to the guys that were talented when they got recruited, but really worked hard and dedicated to make themselves better throughout their 4 years. And, part of the thing that I reflect back to 2017 is there were some guys that had not had success early in their career and were practice players and scout guys and got an opportunity in that year as seniors and in some cases juniors and made the most of it and were super impactful during our run, even during the regular season in certain games. So I think a lot of the lessons is that there's no special sauce. It's rolling up your sleeves and doing the work and being willing to sacrifice to make yourself the best player and the best coach you can be. And having an understanding, I think one of the things that we've really focused on here is, more games are lost than are won, and understanding how to eliminate some of those mistakes and then play winning lacrosse. And I look back, there's a lot of, in 2017, but also before that and during my time there are a lot of games where it's like, man, we made the right play and the other team didn't. And some would look at that as luck. I look at it as preparation, and it's just how we were built, is to be able to handle those situations.
That preparation paid off with 4 Final Fours during your 6 years with Maryland. You had a wonderful job running the offense in the hotbed of lacrosse in this country. What made Holy Cross such a special place and the right place for you to make that jump to your first head coaching job in D1?
There's a lot there. I think, again, as you mentioned, I thought where I was at Maryland, growing up there, being local, being around family, getting that job and being there at the time was a really good spot that I wasn't completely looking to leave unless it was the right place. And there were some other opportunities that I had that didn't pursue or didn't work out for one reason or another to be a Division I head coach. This just felt right. I got hired during COVID, so it was a unique interview and time. We had already begun practice at Maryland for the season. Timing of the season was very unique, and I appreciate Coach Tillman for giving me this opportunity to make the jump in a tough time there. But getting on campus and talking to the folks around here and doing my research and talking to alumni, it just felt right. It felt like a place that I belonged, and I've always kind of looked at the next job as a place where I don't want to sell, and I don't want to have to be a salesman during recruiting and kind of cut corners or do whatever. Like, I just want to be able to talk about the place. And I also am not looking to move around. Like, I wanted a place where we could build something special and could be here for a long time, and never looked at taking the next job as a stepping stone. I always looked at it as the job that I want. And Holy Cross fit all those boxes. And we talked about a tough Patriot League, like getting the opportunity to compete in the Patriot League. And then I think the last part of it, huge part of it, was the vision of what we can do here. We can compete at a very high level here. We have the opportunity. You mentioned the six-time Patriot League champion football program and some of your promos. Like, we have an opportunity to do that and set a standard and compete at a national level that is somewhat unique to the other sports here on campus. And the last thing I'll just say that really sealed it is the people. The people have been terrific. The student athletes that we get to coach day in and day out are phenomenal people. The families, the kids are good people for a reason, because the families are terrific. And Holy Cross is similar to the Naval Academy in that everybody buys into the Jesuit mission and the Jesuit teaching, and the synergy of the staff, the faculty, the athletic programs, was the last thing that really sealed the deal for me.
I'm glad you mentioned the people because we have so many proud Crusader alums who love the game of lacrosse here in the Northeast. So, for those Crusaders listening, what's the best way for them to support your program as you continue this rise in the Patriot League?
I think the best way is to get out and support us and cheer us on. Obviously would love to see everybody on Mount St. James up on the hill here. If they're local, but certainly we travel up and down the East Coast, playing the Patriot League games. So if we come close to your town, would love to see you out and supporting us wearing the purple. And I think really it's athletics and Division I athletics is a bottom line sport. It's what is on the sign at the end of the field, at the end of the game, kind of determines how people judge a team. I guess I would ask the alums and the supporters to look past that and appreciate the hard work and dedication that our student athletes are putting in. And the coaches are putting in, the administrators are putting in. Like, we've come a long way in my 5 years as a lacrosse program, as an athletic department, and as a college. And there's some really, really good things happening here. I'm not sure what happened before I got here. I can't speak to that. I'm just focused on where we're going, and we're going into really great places. Like I said, both as a lacrosse program, athletic department, and a college. So getting a part of that, supporting the student athletes that are here. We have a wonderful alumni. Unmatched, in my opinion, in a lot of places I've been. As a Navy alum, I got to say Navy, maybe, but the connection and the passion for the purple here is like no other that I've ever been to in a different institution. We need to continue that, and would appreciate all the alums and supporters continuing to give their time, talent, and treasure to make it a great experience for our student athletes, and continue to mentor them and help them as we develop them in their 4 years to live a life of impact after those.
Perfect way to wrap it up. J.L. Reppert, congratulations on a great start to the season. Lots of expectations, lots of excitement heading into Patriot League play. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you all season long.
Thanks, Kevin. Go Cross Go.
Go Cross Go. And my thanks to everyone for tuning in. We'll be back soon with another episode of Sader Stories. Until then, tell your fellow Crusaders about Sader Stories, available anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. I'm Kevin Gehl. Thanks for tuning in.